From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 18th, 2017. The New York Times issued a clarification of an op-ed piece the paper published yesterday by Palestinian terrorist Marwan Barghouti about a hunger strike among Palestinian prisoners in Israel. As we reported to you at the end of the op-ed, the paper had described Barghouti as a, quote, Palestinian leader and parliamentarian, omitting the fact that he is a convicted terrorist. Jewish organizations and Israeli officials sharply criticized the omission, after which the paper added a clarification early this morning to the online version of the op-ed. It states that this article explained the writer's prison sentence but neglected to provide sufficient context by stating the offenses of which he was convicted. They, it states, were 5 counts of murder and membership in a terrorist organization. New York Times public editor Liz Spade also criticized the paper for the failure to mention Barghouti's crimes, which she said risks the credibility of the author and of the op-ed pages. Spade's job includes keeping tabs on the journalistic integrity of the paper. She wrote her own op-ed today saying that she was pleased that the editors responded to the complaints the paper had received, adding hopefully it's a sign that fuller disclosure will become regular practice. Spade also wrote on Twitter with a link to the op-ed, how much should you know about Marwan Barghouti more than you were told? Barghouti was convicted in an Israeli civilian court in 2004 on 5 counts of murder and 1 attempted murder, and was implicated in and held responsible for 4 other terror attacks. He is serving 5 life terms and an additional 40 years in an Israeli prison. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also responded today to the New York Times piece. He said calling Barghouti a leader and parliamentarian is like calling Syrian President Bashar Assad a pediatrician, referring there to the fact that the Syrian leader was trained as a doctor. The House of Representatives in the state of Kansas passed a bill earlier this month barring cooperation with businesses that boycott Israel. House Bill 2409 passed on April the 5th with a greater than 100 vote margin. It prohibits the state from engaging in contractual arrangements for services, supplies, information technology, or construction with people or businesses engaged in a boycott of Israel or Israeli-controlled territory. Republican Representative Bill Sutton said Israel is a strong trade partner with Kansas, and any company openly boycotting Israel and its products is perpetuating an act of economic warfare against a Kansas trade partner and ally. The Israel Action Network, which is part of the Jewish Federation of North America, helped the House pass the bill, which makes Kansas the 19th state in the U.S. to take action against the BDS boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement that seeks to delegitimize the State of Israel. Well, police in New York are investigating an anti-Semitic incident that took place last week in Brooklyn as a hate crime. According to the NYPD, a man on a motorcycle threw flyers filled with swastikas and anti-Semitic drawings on the street in Williamsburg's Orthodox Jewish community on Thursday night. The community posted about the incident on social media, asking for anyone with information about the identity of the suspect to come forward. New York Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Evan Bernstein, thanked the NYPD's Hate Crime Task Force for looking into what he called a despicable incident. And staying with the ADL, the organization is readying for its annual gathering next month to explore its advocacy agenda, which includes the fight against anti-Semitism. The Shana Amy Glass National Leadership Summit takes place May the 7th through the 9th in Washington, D.C. Next month, Jerusalem will celebrate 50 years since its reunification, and the city's mayor, Nir Barkat, released a video this week extending an open invitation to visit the Holy City, showing the many reasons why Jerusalem is so special and so meaningful to so many.
There's no place in the world like Jerusalem. Come and join us as we celebrate 50 years since the reunification of the capital of Israel. Come and join us in Jerusalem soon.
The historic anniversary will be marked by many events, including a national commemoration ceremony with Barkat, as well as with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Reuven Rivlin, among others, which will take place on Jerusalem Day, Yom Yerushalayim, on May the 24th. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, April the 18th. At 7 o'clock, more from the AIPAC National Policy Conference in Washington with remarks from U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley and Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, among others. At 8:30, Connie Martinson talks books with author Daniel Goldhagen. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with founder of the Paperclips Project and Whitwell Middle School principal Linda Hooper. At 10, Holocaust survivor David Kahan, president of B'nai B'rith Einstein Lodge, holds a walking tour of the Holocaust Memorial Center in West Bloomfield, Michigan. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, Mark Golub speaks with former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Danny Ayalon, who responds to the op-ed piece published by the New York Times, written from Israeli jail by Palestinian murderer Marwan Barghouti, which slams Israel without rebuttal or any mention of his crimes. That's on tonight's In the News. And Brett Stevens, who was originally scheduled to be Mark Golub's guest tonight, will be seen on In the News Thursday night at 6:30. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, April the 18th, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.